My family tried to arrange my marriage to my dad's best friend's son. When I ran off and married my boyfriend instead, they lost it. Now they won't stop calling. But instead of answering, I just sent them a wedding photo. I'm Zara, and I've been with Logan for nearly 2 years. We first met at one of our friend Andre's monthly game nights, the kind where everyone brings cheap snacks from the dollar store, argues over board game rules, and laughs until midnight. My parents are what you'd call old school traditional. Not vacation home and golf club traditional, but dad works double shifts and mom clips coupons traditional. Their favorite family motto is family comes first, which basically means dad makes the rules and everyone else just nods along. Logan and I never really hit our relationship, but we didn't exactly flaunt it either. He's come to a few family dinners, always polite, always bringing flowers for my mom, who, without fail, places them in the kitchen instead of the living room. He even tries to talk sports with my dad, who usually responds with a grunt and goes back to his TV. So yesterday I show up for our regular Sunday dinner. Everything seems normal at first. Mom's cooking her famous pot roast that somehow lasts the entire week. Dad's glued to the TV, and my sister Vera is scrolling on her phone. Then I notice a few extra plates on the table. Who else is coming? I ask, tossing salad in the kitchen. Oh, Warren and Dexter are joining us, Mom says casually. Warren's been Dad's best friend since high school. They even work together. His son Dexter, who's 27, works with them too. I barely know him, other than the fact that he's quiet and has a reputation. Boring. Dinner starts off normal enough. Warren walks in with Dexter, who's wearing a brand new button-up that still has fold crease from the store. Mom starts piling his plate with the best cuts of meat while throwing me these weird, meaningful looks. Vera keeps kicking me under the table and raising her eyebrows like she knows something I don't. Then, somewhere between the pot roast and Mom's box mix brownies, Dad clears his throat. Zara, he starts in that tone that always means trouble. Warren and I have been talking. My stomach drops. You know that sinking feeling you get when you can feel something bad coming? Yeah, that. Dexter's ready to settle down. Warren jumps in proudly, as if he's announcing a promotion instead of a proposal. And we thought, what better match than our two families joining together? I almost choke on my water. What? It makes sense, Dad continues, eyes fixed on his plate. Warren and I are expanding the business, and Dexter's going to take over his father's share soon. You two would make a great match. I just stare at them, fork halfway to my mouth, while Dexter studies his brownie like it's a life or death exam. My dessert suddenly tastes like sand. I'm dating Logan, I remind. Mom waves her hand dismissively. Oh, sweetheart, that's just a young girl's fantasy. We're talking about your future. Your mother's right, Dad's. Logan's a nice enough kid, but he's not going. Dexter has a place in this family's business. Dexter still hasn't said a word. He just keeps staring down, cheeks red. Warren's beaming like he's solved world hunger, while my parents look at me expectantly. This is insane, I say finally. I'm not marrying Dexter. I love Logan. Dad's face turns a shade of purple I didn't know human skin could manage. This isn't about love, Zara. This is about family, about stability, about your future. That's when I stand up, grab my bag, and head for the door. As I'm leaving, I hear Dad's voice echo behind me. You have until the end of the month. We're announcing the engagement at Warren's birthday. I just walked in. Logan was waiting in his car down the street. We'd planned to hit Walmart after dinner to grab some things for his apartment. I slid into the passenger seat, hands trembling as I fumbled with my seatbelt. That was yesterday. Now my phone's blowing up with messages from Mom telling me to be reasonable and think of the family. Vera's been texting a bunch of WTF messages and warning me that Dad's dead serious about this. Even my cousin Ophelia called to ask if the rumor was true. Logan and I spent last night in his tiny studio apartment, talking about what to do next. We'd already planned to move in together when his lease ends next month. Just a modest 2-bedroom in the same complex as our friend Andre. We've been quietly saving for months. But now it feels like we might have to speed that up. I've muted most of my family group chats, though I can still see the message count rising. The only one I've replied to is Vera, who promised to keep my location secret. I love my family. But this is beyond crazy. It's 2024, not the 1800s. Who still arranges marriages for business deals? I just can't do it. I'm not marrying Dexter, no matter how practical my dad thinks it is. First update. Hey again. First off, thank you for all the support after my last post. It meant more than you know. It's been 2 weeks since that nightmare of a Sunday dinner, and right now I'm sitting on Logan's couch at 1 in the morning, stress-eating cheap cookies and trying to process how everything spiraled so fast. Our water heater just broke, and the landlord isn't answering his phone, so I'm waiting for the kettle to heat enough water for a makeshift sink shower. Perfect timing, right? The day after that dinner, I went back home while my parents were at work to grab some essentials. I thought I'd sneak in and out, but Vera was homesick from her college classes. Between stuffing my duffel with clothes, she filled me in on everything I'd missed, and it turns out things are worse than I realized. Apparently, this whole marriage plan wasn't about tradition at all. The truth came out piece by piece. Warren's company is in deep financial trouble, and Dad's been struggling too. You can tell from the leaky kitchen faucet that's been dripping for months, and the tension in the air every time bills come up. This wasn't some nostalgic family arrangement. It was a business merger in disguise. They want to combine the companies, using my dad's contracts to keep Warren's business from collapsing. So yeah, real romantic, right? Things somehow got even more ridiculous when I found out my parents had already paid for a wedding venue. Not just any venue either. They'd booked it under the excuse of Warren's birthday party, but the contract listed it as an engagement celebration, non-refund. My mom's been parading the paperwork around to everyone, as if it's proof that I'm legally obligated to go through with this marriage. The place itself is one of those trendy, rustic, chic barns that probably cost more than I make in 3 months. Every time I picture my mom walking through that place, pretending she's planning my big day, I want to scream. The next few days turned into a non-stop barrage of calls, missed voicemails, and emotionally manipulative texts. My cousin Ophelia even dropped by Logan's apartment, pretending she was just returning a few sweaters she'd borrowed. But really, she wanted to tell me how my mom's been phoning half the family in tears, claiming I'm throwing my life away. The family gossip machine's been working overtime. According to Vera, the guy I was apparently supposed to marry, Dexter, Still lives in his parents' basement and spends his free time yelling at Fortnite. What a dreamboat, right? Clearly I missed out on a real prize there. Work didn't exactly offer a break either. My mom, in her infinite wisdom, decided to call my store manager while crying about her troubled daughter. The next week my hours were quietly cut. No one said it was connected, but come on. I'm now scrambling to swap shifts just to make rent. Meanwhile, Logan's having his own run of bad luck. His car completely failed inspection, and the cost to fix it would be more than the car's actually worth. As for our living situation, let's just say it's tight. His studio apartment barely fits one person, let alone two. We're constantly tripping over each other. The downstairs neighbor complains about the noise every other day, and the landlord keeps reminding us the lease only lists one tenant. The bathroom sink is currently home to my entire skincare collection because there's literally nowhere else to put it. Last night, I found my mascara sitting beside the ramen noodles in the kitchen cabinet. That's how chaotic things have gotten. The financial pressure is no joke either. Between my cut hours and all the little expenses that pile up when you're trying to move, every dollar feels like a miracle. I've started selling clothes on Poshmark just to save a bit, while Logan's picking up small gigs on TaskRabbit. It helps, but just barely. We've gotten pretty creative when it comes to food. Rice and beans are basically our new roommates at this point. Then came the Walmart incident. We were there buying discount groceries when I accidentally ran into my parents. It was like walking straight into a soap opera. My mom started crying right in the cereal aisle, accusing me of betraying the family, while Dad muttered something about Warren selling to a big corporation if I'm to my senses. We grabbed what we needed and got out fast, but not before Mom noticed our off-brand items and started sobbing harder about how I deserve better than this life. As if that wasn't enough, today she sent me photos of some old wedding fund passbook she's been keeping since I was born. Basically her way of reminding me how much money and dreams I'm wasting. She included baby pictures for maximum guilt, plus screenshots of current wedding venue prices. Subtle as always, and because the universe has a sense of humor, the apartment we'd been counting on fell through. The landlord decided to rent it to his nephew, leaving us back at square one. Logan's lease ends in 2 weeks, and affordable rentals in this city might as well be fairy tale. Our friend Andre offered to let us crash in his spare room for a while. It's technically a garage conversion at his parents' house, and his mom still does his laundry, so yeah, it's not ideal. Accepting feels like admitting defeat, even though we both know it might be our only option. Logan's been my rock through all of this, but I can tell it's wearing him down too. Yesterday I caught him standing in the kitchen just staring at the shelf of instant noodles like he was questioning every life decision that it honestly broke my heart. The extended family has made everything worse. My phone doesn't stop buzzing. Relatives I haven't spoken to in years suddenly want to weigh in, all convinced I'm in my future. Vera keeps me updated from, according to her, Dad's now threatening to write me out of his will, which would sound more dramatic if there were actually anything worse. Sometimes I catch myself doubting, wondering if maybe it'd be easier to just give in. But then I look at Logan, sitting on the couch, humming while washing dishes, or quietly solving Wordle on his phone, and I remember why I won't. We're not chess pieces in some business deal. We're just two people trying to build a life together, even if that means sharing one towel because I forgot to grab mine during what I now call the Great Escape. For now, we're just taking it one day at a time. Apartment hunting on lunch breaks, blocking family numbers as fast as they come in, and trying to figure out where to land next. It's not glamorous, but it's ours. Our date nights these days mostly involve scrolling through rental listings over bowls of microwave ramen, but at least we're in it together. Second update. Hey again, Reddit. Some of you might remember me, the girl whose parents tried to set her up with her dad's best friend's son, Dexter. Well, buckle up because a lot has happened since then. Right now I'm sitting in a tiny motel room with a half-eaten slice of cold pizza, typing this on my phone while their Amazon dress. We finally did it. We got married. It wasn't the wedding I dreamed of as a kid, but honestly, it was perfect in its own. The decision to elope came after we found out my parents had started sending out pre-engagement part of that fancy barn venue. My sister Vera texted me a photo of one complete with my full future married name printed on. That was the last straw. Logan and I had already been talking about marriage. Living together these past few weeks made it clear that we wanted the same future, even if that future currently includes ramen dinners and a leaky faucet. One night, while eating microwave mac and cheese and watching the neighbor's cat through the window, her name's Princess, we just looked at each other and knew. No speeches, no rings yet, just this quiet understanding. We picked a random Tuesday because we both happened to have the day off and the courthouse had no. Andre, Logan's best friend, agreed. I ordered a simple white dress off Amazon that looked way better online, and Logan wore his one nice button-up shirt, the one without wrinkles. The morning of the wedding was pure chaos. My dress zipper jammed, Logan's car refused to start again, and we ended up taking an Uber to the courthouse. We split the fare 3 ways with Andre because, well, we're all broke. The Uber driver kept asking why we were dressed up, and we just said we had a court appointment. Technically not a lie. The ceremony itself took maybe 10 minutes. The clerk was halfway through her sandwich while stamping our papers, and a guy in the corner was filling out jury duty forms like his life depended on it. It was far from romantic. We couldn't stop smiling. Andre took photos on his phone. Most of them came out blurry, but there's one where Logan and I are just looking at each other, laughing, right as I almost dropped the $12 ring we bought. After the courthouse, we celebrated the only way our budget allowed, at the little diner around the corner. We split a plate of fries and shared a milkshake, laughing about how it felt like something out of an old movie, minus the glamour. Andre insisted on paying for his own coffee, saying that was his wedding gift to us. The waitress overheard our story and surprised us with a free slice of pie. It was the first bit of wedding luck we'd had all day. Then came the hard part, telling people. We decided to keep it simple. One photo on Instagram, the only decent one Andre had taken, paired with a short caption. So, we did a thing. The first reaction came from my cousin Ophelia, a flood of heart emojis. Then Vera called, half laughing, half crying. She said she was happy for us, but terrified about what would come next. Turns out she was right to be. My mom apparently saw the post while she was at the grocery store. I know this because she called me from the parking lot, sobbing so hard the cart attendant asked if she needed help. Between gasps, she cried about never being able to show her face at church again, about how I'd humiliated the family, and how the venue deposit was now ruined forever. Dad's reaction came through Vera. Apparently, he hurled his phone across the living room the second he saw the post. Warren, his so-called best friend, drove straight over to their house. In the middle of that chaos, Dexter, yes, that Dexter, liked our Instagram photo and even commented, "Congratulations." Probably didn't help the situation. Extended family reactions were all over the place. Shocked Facebook messages, passive-aggressive texts, and one cousin who tagged me in a TikTok about ungrateful children. Real classy stuff. For now, Logan and I are laying low in a cheap motel. His lease ended yesterday and our apartment application is still processing. The room smells faintly like old cigarettes, and the Wi-Fi keeps cutting out every hour. But it's our first home as a married couple. We spend our evenings watching random YouTube videos on Logan's phone, ordering the cheapest takeout we can find, and pretending the peeling wallpaper is part of the ambiance. The wedding venue actually called us yesterday. Apparently, my parents tried to cancel the engagement party and still lost the deposit. They're now telling people I forced them to book it. That's one way to rewrite history. Money's still tight. We're both working extra hours wherever possible, and I've been listing more clothes on Poshmark. The apartment we applied for isn't much, just a small ground floor one bedroom with an awkward layout and no dishwasher. But it's ours if we get approved. The leasing office said they'd have an answer by Friday, so fingers crossed. Vera's been my unofficial news reporter from home. Apparently Mom has already redecorated my old room, took down all my photos, packed away my stuff, and replaced everything with new curtains. Dad's been telling people at work that I'm going through a phase, and Warren's wife keeps trying to schedule some big family reconciliation dinner. But the wildest twist came from Dexter himself. He sent me a DM out of nowhere, saying he's actually relieved. Turns out he's been hiding his own relationship, a girlfriend he's been seeing for over a year. And not just anyone, she's a streamer and a single mom. He said he's been terrified to tell his dad because Warren would never approve. I couldn't help but laugh. The guy I was supposed to marry to unite our families was hiding a whole other life too. Logan and I are just taking things one day at a time. Some mornings, I wake up with that familiar wave of panic about everything we've done. The burned bridges, the financial mess, the uncertainty. But then Logan does something stupidly sweet, like trying to make ramen in the motel coffee maker because it's faster than the kettle. And I remember exactly why I chose this life. It's not perfect, but it's ours. Third update. Sometimes the truth doesn't show up in a confession. It comes buried in paperwork. In my case, it appeared in a stack of waterlogged files I stumbled on while helping Vera clean out our flooded basement last week. She'd called me in a panic, saying the rainstorm had gotten into the foundation. Mom and Dad were away at a church fundraiser, so Logan and I drove over to help move things to higher ground. While hauling soggy boxes, I noticed that Dad's old filing cabinet had tipped over. Papers were everywhere, soaked and curling at the edges. As we sorted through what we could save, something caught my eye. Loan documents. Dozens of them. Every single one had Warren's signature on it, and Dad's, listed as the guarantor. The loans went back years, small amounts at first, then bigger and riskier ones. The most recent dated right before the whole Dexter and Zara engagement plan kicked off. Some had red final notice stamps. Others had incomplete payment logs with missed check marks. Piece by piece, the story came together. Warren's business wasn't struggling. It was sinking, and my dad had been quietly trying to keep it afloat. Then I found something even stranger. Printed email threads between Dad and a large development company. The company had expressed interest in buying both businesses, but only if they came as a package deal. The offer wasn't bad, enough to clear all their debts and leave some profit. But there was a catch. The buyers wanted proof of stable succession. In plain English, they wouldn't make the purchase unless there was a guarantee that both companies would stay linked long-term. That's where Dexter and I came in. An interlinked marriage between the two families was the easiest way to make it look like a stable, family-run operation for generations to come. While we were still trying to wrap our heads around that, Vera found more documents. Turns out Warren had been hiding the full extent of his financial mess from everyone, including his wife. He'd even taken out a second mortgage on their house without telling her. And Dad? He'd co-signed everything, probably out of loyalty, thinking he was helping his best friend get back on track. But the real gut punch came when I found a draft contract dated just before the marriage proposal dinner. Warren had already started selling off company equipment to make payments. My dad was on the verge of losing everything he'd worked for over 20 years because of one man's bad decisions and his own misplaced trust. Before the water could ruin them completely, I took photos of every page. I sent copies to Dexter too. He deserved to know what kind of mess his father had dragged everyone into. His reply was short but telling. Guess that explains the rush. Apparently Dexter's dad had been on his case for months, pushing him to settle down and even trying to sabotage his... So really, this whole arranged marriage nonsense wasn't just my burden. Dexter was dealing with his own version of it too. The next day, Ophelia showed up at our apartment with her usual peace offering, ramen. It's kind of become our thing now, eating instant noodles together whenever life implodes. She had updates, of course. Warren's wife had finally found out about the secret second mortgage. She packed up and moved in with her sister. Dexter told his dad about his girlfriend and her little boy, and then he moved in with them. Warren's now crashing at his brother's place to give her space, though rumor has it she changed the locks. Dad still won't talk to me directly, but he's been asking Vera weird roundabout questions. How I'm doing, whether we've found an apartment, if I'm eating properly. Mom, on the other hand, has gone from posting angry Facebook rants to sharing missing my daughter memes. Progress, I guess. Yesterday, I got a text from Warren himself. It just said, "I'm sorry. I haven't answered. I don't even know if I want to." Through it all, Logan's been steady. He doesn't dwell on the drama, just holds me when I need it and cracks the dumbest jokes when I get too serious. Last night, while we were sitting on our air mattress eating cold pizza, he suddenly said we should start our own business. Something simple, like making tiny hats for cats. We laughed about it for an hour. We're doing okay. The apartment's finally starting to feel like home. We scored a real bed frame off Facebook Marketplace yesterday. Used, but solid. Our upstairs neighbor's kid practices trumpet every morning at 7 a.m., and while it used to drive us crazy, now it's kind of like, hey, another day. I've been picking up extra shifts at work, and Logan started doing food deliveries on weekends. It's not glamorous, but the bills are getting paid, and we're surviving. Together. Vera says Dad spends most of his time in the garage these days, probably trying to figure out his next move. The development company pulled their offer once the merger fell apart, and Mom's been quietly telling her friends that they might have to sell the house, the one they've lived in since before I was born. Part of me feels guilty. even though I know deep down this isn't on me. Another part of me is furious that they ever tried to use my life as a business solution. But mostly, I just feel tired of carrying the weight of everyone's expectations. Last update, I honestly wasn't planning to post again, but after the Thanksgiving we just had, it feels right to close this story properly. First off, Logan and I are still in our tiny apartment. The air mattress is finally gone. Hallelujah. Replaced by that marketplace bed frame. Our neighbor's kid has now upgraded from trumpet to drums, which somehow feels like poetic punishment, but we're learning to live with it. We even lucked out when we found out another neighbor works at a furniture outlet. He hooked us up with a slightly damaged couch for next to nothing. It has this mysterious stain that looks suspiciously like Danny DeVito if you squint, but it's surprisingly comfortable. The biggest change started about 2 months ago. Mom began sending me these late-night thinking of you texts, usually after watching one of those emotional Facebook videos about family. Then she asked if we could meet for coffee. I said yes, mostly because I was tired of pretending not to see her at the grocery store. We met at the same diner where Logan and I celebrated our wedding with fries and a milkshake. She cried into her coffee while I stirred my tea, and for the first time in a long time, we actually talked. Turns out Dad's business survived. Barely. But it's alive. They sold some equipment, downsized, and moved into a smaller office. It's not thriving, but it's standing. Warren's company, though, wasn't so lucky. He and his wife are officially separated. She got the house, and he's still living with his brother, who, get this, started charging him rent. Dexter, on the other hand, is doing great. He's living with his girlfriend and her son now, streaming full-time on Twitch. His mom told my mom that he's the happiest he's been in years. Logan even plays online games with him sometimes, which is weirdly wholesome, considering everything that's happened. Dad took longer to thaw. The turning point came when our car broke down, again. It's basically held together by hope and duct tape at this point. Logan was in the parking lot trying to fix it when Dad just showed up. Apparently Vera had mentioned it to Mom, who told Dad, and next thing we knew, he was there, rolling up his sleeves. He didn't say much, just started helping. Now he and Logan text each other car repair videos and links to auto parts sales. Dad still doesn't really talk to me, but it's a start. Then came Thanksgiving. Mom had been dropping hints for weeks that we should come, and even though I wasn't sure, Logan pointed out that free food is still free food. So, we went. And yeah, it was awkward. Aunt Alice made snide remarks about unconventional life choices. Uncle Bob pretended he didn't exist. But Vera and Ophelia were heroes, running interference every time a conversation started to turn ugly. And Mom, she'd put our wedding photo on the mantle, right next to that horrendous 7th grade school picture where I had braces and butterfly clips. Somehow that small gesture made all the difference. The surprise guest was Warren's ex-wife. Apparently she and Mom are still close. She brought this incredible sweet potato casserole and spent half the evening telling everyone about her self-discovery journey. Dad looked like he wanted to disappear into his mashed potatoes. The highlight of the night, though, was when my cousin Andre, not Logan's friend, another one, announced his engagement. The whole family immediately started buzzing about venues and colors and floral arrangements. And then, across the table, Mom caught my eye and winked. I actually laughed. Our apartment's still small, but it's home. My $12 ring has turned my fingers slightly green, but I kind of love it. It matches our vibe perfectly. Logan's car still makes that same wheezing sound, but we're saving up for something better. Slowly, but surely. Work steady. Nothing glamorous, but it's enough. Logan's taking online computer courses, and I've been thinking about going back to school myself once we're more stable. Vera drops by all the time, usually with leftovers from Mom. I'm convinced she's Mom's undercover agent, making sure we're eating vegetables. She also keeps me updated on Warren and Dexter. Apparently, Dexter's girlfriend's little boy calls him Papa D now, and somehow that feels like the perfect ending to this whole wild story. Because even after all the chaos, heartbreak, and ridiculousness, we all ended up where we were supposed to be.